She said I wasn't enough, that she needed someone who could provide. So she left me for my own brother. Years later, divorced and broken, she came back, and I told her the one thing she never expected.
Hey there, Samantha here. You want to know the truth? Fine. I'll say it how it was. William and I were together forever, or at least it felt like it. 5 years. 3 of those years actually living together, sharing rent, splitting groceries, all that domestic stuff people brag about when they think they're building some fairy tale. And it worked for a while. He was steady, dependable. Honestly, he was convenient. Back in college, I needed someone like that. I had enough stress trying to keep my grades up, working part-time shifts, always broke. Having William meant I didn't have to think about certain things. He always picked up the slack when I couldn't. Ran a little short, he covered it. Too exhausted to cook? He'd grab takeout. My laptop broke? He figured out how to fix it or found me a replacement cheap. That was his role. My cushion. And yeah, I cared about him, but let's not pretend it was some great romance out of a movie. He wasn't exciting. He wasn't ambitious. He was comfortable, like an old sweatshirt you keep wearing even though you know you look better in something else. That's what William was. A safety net. But then graduation happened. Everything shifted. Suddenly I wasn't just scraping by anymore. I had a degree, I had options. And I looked at William, still dragging himself through classes, still acting like a student, still talking about someday, plans that never actually became real. And I started thinking, why am I tying myself to this? Why am I investing in a guy who can barely take care of himself, let alone me? That's when Jacob came into the picture. Well, he'd always been around, but I started actually seeing him. William's older brother, already established, already working, driving a decent car, wearing clothes that didn't look like they came from a clearance rack. You notice those things when you're tired of scraping by. He had his own place. He had savings. He had stability. That word, stability, it stuck in my head. People love to throw words around like betrayal or backstabbing. But here's what no one ever admits out loud. Most women want security. Love, sure, that's nice, but security, that's the real currency. And William, he couldn't provide it. Jacob could. Simple math. So I made a choice. My choice. I started spending more time with Jacob, and it just made sense. He knew how to take care of things. He didn't stumble through life the way William did. And yeah, I knew what it meant. I knew people would call me selfish, manipulative, narcissistic, whatever. Let them. None of those people had to live my life. None of them were stuck counting pennies, praying the car wouldn't break down again, watching their boyfriend talk big about future plans that never went anywhere. The day I left, I didn't owe William a long conversation or some dramatic breakup scene. Why drag it out? I packed my stuff. Jacob helped me load it, and we drove off. Clean break. William didn't need an explanation. Deep down, he already knew he couldn't give me what I wanted. He just didn't want to admit it. And yeah, maybe it was harsh when I finally told him I was tired of pretending I even liked him. But you know what? It was honest. He deserved the truth. I wasn't going to play the doting girlfriend role anymore. I wasn't going to pretend the life he offered was enough. I wanted more, and I went after it. Call it cold. Call it cruel. But I call it moving forward. Everyone acts like William was this saint, and I was some villain twirling my mustache, but no one sees the reality. He was holding me back. Jacob pulled me up. That's how I saw it. That's how I still see it. People think betrayal is about hearts and emotions. No. It's about strategy. It's about knowing what you want and not settling. And I wasn't going to settle. Not for William's empty promises. Not for his endless someday. Jacob was the upgrade. He was proof that I deserved better than waiting around for a man-child to figure his life out. And the family? They got it. Maybe not right away, but they understood eventually. Families adjust. People adapt. You show up with a ring, the house, the baby, and suddenly no one's talking about who you left behind. They smile. They hold the baby. They post the pictures. Life moves on. So yeah, that's how it happened. I didn't fall out of love. I just woke up. I realized I wanted a life that William couldn't give me, and I wasn't about to apologize for chasing it. If that makes me selfish, then fine, I'll own it. Better selfish than stuck.
Hey, I'm William. I'll cut straight to it. I didn't see it coming. Not even a flicker on the radar. 5 years together, 3 of those actually sharing an apartment, all the routines and little habits that make you think you've got something solid. And then one day, she's gone. Not storming out after an argument. Not heading off to see family. Gone. Closet empty. Drawers cleared. Makeup bag gone. I tried to convince myself there had to be a reason. Maybe she left in a hurry. Maybe something happened. I called her. Straight to voicemail. Texts, nothing. By the 3rd try, I wasn't just worried, I was pissed. It didn't make sense. I called her friend Mia, thinking maybe she knew something. That's when the hammer dropped. Mia said Samantha moved her stuff out earlier that day, and Jacob was the one who she is with now. Said she thought I already knew. I swear I couldn't breathe. My own brother, helping her move out behind my back. That's when a nausea kicked in, like I'd swallowed a rock. I tried calling Jacob. Straight to voicemail, just like her. I called again. Nothing. That silence told me everything I needed to know. I drove over there. Didn't think it through, just floored it. By the time I pulled into a street, I was shaking, heart pounding like I'd run a marathon. I hammered on the door until my hand hurt. And when it finally opened, it wasn't Jacob. It was her, Samantha, standing there like it was a normal day, like she wasn't supposed to be at home with me. No shame, no guilt, just this looked like I was interrupting her new schedule. Then Jacob walked in from the kitchen. Casual. He told her to head upstairs like I was the intruder and she needed protecting. That flipped a switch in me. He said they'd been seeing each other since my 2nd year of college. 2 years. My own brother. Behind my back. I didn't even know what to say. And then she twisted the knife. Said she was tired of pretending she liked me. Pretending. That word hit harder than anything. Like the last 5 years had been some long con and I was too dumb to notice. I left. What else was I supposed to do? Swing at him? Beg her to explain? None of it would have changed the fact that they'd already chosen each other. The drive back was a blur. I remember gripping the wheel so hard my hands hurt. Pulled into some random parking lot and just sat there. Couldn't cry, couldn't yell, couldn't do anything except stare at the dashboard like it would give me an answer. That night was hell. Couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. You know how your brain replays everything on loop? That was me. Every date, every joke, every late-night pizza order. Weirdly, the small stuff hurt the most. Like realizing she was probably texting him while sitting next to me. That thought made me sick. I stopped calling after that. What was the point? You can't talk sense into betrayal. Within weeks, I was gone. West Coast. School, work, anything that wasn't here. Therapy, too, even though I dragged my feet about it. I thought it meant I was weak. But when you're staring at the ceiling night after night, thinking you're worthless, you either talk to someone or you break. Therapists told me what I already knew, that none of it was on me. That people can be selfish and ugly and it doesn't make it your fault. It helped. Not overnight, but piece by piece. I built myself back up. Gym every morning, classes, routines. No contact with them. Deleted numbers, blocked socials. Told my parents I didn't want updates. If they wanted to play house, they could. I wasn't watching. What stuck wasn't just losing her, though. It was losing him. Jacob wasn't just my brother. He was my best friend growing up. We were side by side in everything, sports, stupid high school drama, even covering for each other with our parents. And he nuked it all. People say blood is thicker than water. Yeah, maybe. But betrayal cuts deeper than either. And here's the kicker. She claims later she woke up a few months before graduation. That's her version. Funny how he says 2 years. Someone's lying, maybe both. Doesn't matter. Either way, it was long enough. That's the thing people don't get. Betrayal isn't a single event, like a car crash. It's slow. It's layered. You keep replaying everything, wondering where the signs were. You realize every laugh, every touch, every word might have been fake. It kills the past as much as the present. So I buried it. Moved on the only way I could, by walking away and not looking back. They had each other. I had distance. And I swore to myself, never again.
You want to know something funny? For a while I thought I won. Like, really thought I'd beaten the game. I traded up, right? Moved from William, the forever student, forever dreamer, to Jacob, who already had his act together. We got married fast, had a baby even faster, and suddenly I was that girl. The one posting the cozy family pictures, the matching pajamas, the hashtag blessed captions. People liked those posts. Old friends from college commented about how happy I looked, how lucky I was. And I believed it. Or I forced myself to. Same difference. But let me be honest, it wasn't as perfect as the pictures. It never is, but I didn't expect the cracks to show that quick. Jacob, well, he wasn't the attentive husband type I imagined. He worked, yeah, and he paid the bills, but he didn't really look at me the way I thought he would. Like once the ring was on, I was just part of the furniture. Reliable, predictable, background noise. I'd dress up, try to catch his attention, and half the time he barely noticed. Sometimes I'd see him scrolling on his phone, zoning out, like I was invisible. And that's not what I signed up for. With William, at least, I was the center of his world. He adored me, even when I didn't deserve it. I'd roll my eyes at him, snap at him for dumb stuff, and he still looked at me like I hung the moon. Jacob? He doesn't even notice if I change my hair. That realization hit harder than I want to admit. It's one thing to chase stability. It's another to get it and feel like you traded passion for silence. Still, I told myself it was worth it. We had a baby after all. And people kept telling me I had everything. A good husband, a nice house, a healthy kid. Who wouldn't want that? So I smiled in the family photos, plastered it all over social media, and ignored the voice in my head whispering that I missed being wanted. Then came Christmas. My father-in-law's 50th birthday, actually, but we all gather anyway, big family thing. And guess who walks through the door? William. 2 years since he disappeared to the West Coast, and there he was, standing in the same living room, looking sharper than I remembered. Taller somehow, or maybe just carrying himself different. Like he wasn't the boy I left behind anymore. I thought it would be awkward for him, seeing me with Jacob, seeing the baby. I figured he'd avoid eye contact, maybe choke up a little. I even prepared for it, rehearsed a smile that said, "I hope you're doing okay," without actually saying it. But he didn't even look at me. Not once. He laughed with his aunt, carried on like I was a piece of furniture. And that stung in a way I didn't expect. It's ridiculous, right? I left him. I chose Jacob. I got the life I wanted. And yet standing there, invisible to him, it felt like I'd lost something. I kept waiting for him to acknowledge me, to crack, to show even the tiniest sign that he still cared. Nothing. He was ice. He walked past me in the kitchen like I was a stranger. Didn't ask about the baby. Didn't ask about my life. Didn't ask anything. And that burned. Because the truth is, I wanted the best of both worlds. I wanted Jacob's stability and William's devotion. I thought maybe, just maybe, William would still look at me the way he used to, even after everything. That maybe part of him still loved me. But the look never came. It was like I didn't exist. Later, I overheard my mom-in-law telling him he should forgive. That family's too important to stay divided. He didn't bite, just shut her down politely, and went back to talking with his aunt. I sat there, pretending to be busy with the baby, but my chest felt tight. The longer he ignored me, the louder my thoughts got. How dare he? After everything I gave him, after how much he loved me, how can he just erase me like that? I thought leaving him meant I'd always hold the power, that he'd always carry a piece of me, maybe never get over it. I thought when he saw me with Jacob, he'd feel it, that ache, that loss. Instead, he looked fine, better than fine, like he'd shed all the dead weight, including me, and grown stronger for it. And that's when it hit me. Maybe I miscalculated. Maybe in my rush to secure a future, I underestimated what it meant to be somebody's whole world. With Jacob, I'm part of the scenery. With William, I was everything. And watching him not even flinch in my direction made me realize I don't matter to him anymore. That was the first time the regret really sank in. Not the kind you can post about online or confess to friends over wine. The kind that eats at you quietly, in the silence between feedings and diaper changes, when your husband barely looks up from his phone, and you realize the guy you left behind doesn't even think about you.
You ever walk into a room knowing it's a mistake, but you do it anyway because it feels like you owe somebody? That was me at my dad's 50th. Big milestone, golden balloons, everyone buzzing like it's some grand reunion. I figured I could handle it. Smile, eat, toast the old man, head back to the West Coast before midnight. Simple plan. Of course, Jacob was there with Samantha. Baby in tow, stroller parked like some damn trophy in the middle of the living room. The air went heavy the second I saw them, like everyone was waiting for me to explode. But I didn't. I kept it civil. Said hi to my aunt, grabbed a drink, focused on the cake table. Pretended they weren't there. Of course, they couldn't leave it at that. At some point, Jacob wandered over, Samantha trailing behind with that fake warm smile she does, the one that looks more like a challenge. He started with small talk, asking about school, California, like we were catching up. Samantha chimed in about how nice it was to see me, how families should stick together. I didn't even look at her. Just told them I wasn't interested in whatever performance they were running. That's when my parents swooped in. My mom, all wide-eyed and pleading, saying it was time to put the past behind us, that forgiveness was the only way forward. My dad nodding along like a preacher. They pulled out every line in the book. Family is forever. Blood is thicker than water. We can't stay divided on a big day like this. Meanwhile, Jacob's standing there looking like a saint who just wants to make peace. Samantha clutching the baby like a prop. I let them talk until I couldn't stomach it anymore. Then I snapped. Told them straight, I don't forgive people who stab me in the back. I don't shake hands with the guy who stole my girlfriend, or smile at the girl who told me she was tired of pretending to like me. I said if they thought I'd roll over because it's Dad's birthday, they were out of their minds. The room went quiet. My mom tried again, telling me I was being harsh, that Jacob had apologized, that Samantha had moved forward. That's when I lost it. Told them they could all play happy family without me, but I wasn't interested. If they wanted me around, they had to accept that I want nothing to do with those two. No fake hugs. No, let's start over. Nothing. Jacob looked shocked. Samantha's smile cracked into this wounded glare, like I'd just broken her script. My dad tried one last guilt trip about regret and lost time, and I cut him off. Said regret belonged to the people who screwed me over, not me. Then I grabbed my jacket, told them to enjoy the party, and walked out. That drive back felt clean, like I'd finally ripped off the last bandage. No more half pretending, no more wondering if maybe one day we'd fix it. Done. They got the message loud and clear. And you know what? The timing couldn't have been better, because that's when Carla came into my life. Met her a couple months later through a classmate. Total opposite of Samantha. No games, no upgrade, logic, no ego stroking. Just real. We clicked quick. She listened, laughed at my dumb jokes, never made me feel like I was dragging behind. Being with her didn't feel like a negotiation. It felt like breathing again. So yeah, that night at Dad's 50th, it was ugly. It burned, but it also shut the door for good. I stopped waiting for the family to pick sides, stopped letting them push me into awkward reconciliations. I chose my side, and walking away was the only thing that ever felt right.
I never thought it would come to this. Honestly, if you told me a few years ago that I'd be sitting alone in a tiny apartment, bills stacked on the counter, baby toys scattered everywhere, I would have laughed in your face. I thought I had it all figured out. Married to Jacob, stable life, the happily ever after I traded up for. And for a while it looked right. The pictures were good, the captions looked convincing, the comments rolled in. People thought I'd landed the dream. But dreams don't last. Jacob cheated. That's the headline. He cheated, and worse, he didn't even hide it well. The late nights, the unexplained weekends, the smell of perfume that wasn't mine. I asked him once, straight out, and he just shrugged like it wasn't even worth denying. That's when it broke. The marriage, the fantasy, all of it. He left, and suddenly I was the one abandoned. How's that for irony? I left William to chase security, and Jacob left me like yesterday's trash. At first, I told myself I could handle it. I had the baby, I had myself, I could push through. But reality is ugly. Jacob's money dried up once the divorce started, and suddenly I was juggling bills, daycare, food, everything. Nights got long. I'd sit there scrolling through old pictures, wondering when exactly the floor gave out beneath me. And my mind kept circling back to William. Because here's the thing, he would never have done this to me. He wouldn't have left. He wouldn't have cheated. He would have stood by me no matter what, because that's who he was. Loyal to a fault. And I started to wonder, maybe it wasn't too late. Maybe after everything, he still thought about me. Maybe deep down, part of him was still waiting. So I messaged him. Just a casual, hey, been thinking about you. Tried to keep it light, tried to sound like it wasn't a big deal. He didn't answer at first. I waited, then sent another. Told him things hadn't worked out with Jacob. Told him I missed what we had. That we'd always had something special, even if the timing was bad. I thought if I said the right words, he'd remember. When he finally replied, it wasn't what I expected. He said, "Did you really think I'd wait for you eternally, hoping you'd come knocking?" That line hit like a punch. Cruel, blunt, no room for misreading. And then he twisted the knife, told me he'd moved on, that he was dating someone named Carla. Said she wasn't selfish, wasn't narcissistic like me. Like me. The words sat on the screen burning holes in my chest. I tried to spin it. Told him he didn't understand, that I'd been young, that I'd made mistakes. I told him we could fix it, that I still loved him deep down. He didn't buy it. Said our chapter was closed, full stop. That he didn't look back. Then he blocked me. Just like that. You'd think I'd scream, throw something, break down. But instead, I just sat there. Numb. Because in that moment, I realized he meant it. William, the boy who used to look at me like I was his whole world, was gone. Not dead, not bitter, just done with me. Like I never mattered. And that's worse than hate. Hate means there's still fire. Indifference is cold, final. Now I'm the one left replaying everything. The nights he stayed up with me while I studied. The mornings he brought me coffee before class. The way he'd grin when I said something dumb. All those little things I brushed off at the time, now they haunt me. Because Jacob never did those things. Jacob gave me money, sure, but he never gave me himself. William did, and I threw it away like it was nothing. I tell myself I was practical, that I chose stability, that I made the smart move. But sitting here, staring at a bank account that barely holds together, scrolling through William's profile where he's smiling next to Carla, I can't keep lying. I didn't choose smart. I chose selfish. And selfish doesn't build anything. It just burns everything down until you're left with ashes. People keep saying time heals, but it doesn't. Time just makes the truth louder. And the truth is, I lost the only man who ever really loved me. I thought he'd always be there, somewhere in the background, waiting if I changed my mind. He isn't. He's gone. And I'm the one who has to live with that. That's the consequence. Not just losing him. Losing the version of myself that mattered to him. I can put on makeup, post filtered selfies, pretend I'm fine, but I know. Deep down, I know. I had everything I needed, and I threw it away because I thought I deserved more. And now I get to sit with the reality that I'll never get him back.